Riya, let's start.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I would like to welcome Dr. Jatinder Kaur Arora, Executive Director PSCST, and Mr. Saurabh Sachdeva, who is the Director of IPTSE Academy, along with Dr. Dapinder Bakshi, Joint Director cum Coordinator, TISC PSCST, Dr. Rashmi Sharma, Scientist, Department of Science and Technology, and Mr. John Kapeka, who is the
Riya, you are not audible.
Yeah, there is some technical
issue with my network and mic. 1 second. And Mr. John Kapeka, who is the United States Intellectual Property Counselor for South Asia. I would also like to thank Dr. Sheetal Chopra, who is the Director, IPR Policy Ericsson, Resource Person Capella, Ministry of Education, and IPTSE Course Coordinator for moderating the panel discussion on role of intellectual property in inclusive growth. I would like to invite our panelists, Dr. Yashwant Dev Kanwar, who is the head of PIFAC, Dr. B.K. Sahu, who is the regional manager and head IPFC and PISC, NRDC, Ms. Pearl Sopti, who is the assistant vice president CPAM, Mr. Dinesh Sharma, senior counsel IP Law and Policy, Ms. Lohita Sujit, who is the senior director, Copyright and Digital Economy at Motion Picture Association. I would now like to invite Mr. Saurabh Sachdeva to give his welcome remarks.
Thank you, Riya. Thank you so much. A very good morning to you all. I would like to thank Punjab State Council for Science and Technology for having a collaboration with IPTSE Academy in launching the IP Literacy Drive. Now, I would like to introduce IPTSE Academy very briefly. IPTSE Academy is a venture of IP Ethicon, which is a DPIIT certified and registered Indian startup. It gives me an immense pleasure to announce that this initiative has been awarded by the World Intellectual Property Forum for its educational endeavors, and the same has been signed by Shri Suresh Prabhu, who, as we all know, is the Indian G7 and G20 Sherpa. IPTSE was launched in the year of 2018 and is intensively involved in the education space towards rendering intellectual property literacy across the nation. This is done through various events, conferences, development of research reports, administering intellectual property talents as examination, first of its kind IP Olympiad. IPTSE is an annual proctored examination that tests the knowledge of individuals on various subjects of IP and certifies that winners and rank holders are not only awarded on the big day, but also given the scholarship amount, internship opportunities, and the platform to learn and earn with us. We shall soon be announcing 4th edition of IPTSE and IP Olympiad. School students from classes 9 to 12, university students, startup teachers, and working professionals are all eligible to take this competitive examination. There are several government bodies like AICTE, Ministry of Science and Technology, NRDC, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, IHub Gujarat, MSME, etc. Corporates like Ericsson and Creative First, along with the various educational institutes who have supported various editions of IPTSE, and we are very hopeful that the noble initiative will continue to receive such blessings and support in future as well. We are very happy to mention that PSCST has agreed to collaborate with IPTSE Academy for 4th and subsequent edition of IPTSE, which is a nationwide IP Olympiad. And we are here to formally sign the MOU at this auspicious time. May I now invite my colleague, Ms. Riya Gupta, to give a brief presentation on IPTSE Academy and the various benefits for the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saurabh. So talking about IPTSE, it is the Intellectual Property Talent Search Examination. School students from classes 9 to 12, university students from various domains, including design and architecture, engineering and tech, hotel management, law students, mass communication and researchers and sciences are eligible for this examination. From the 4th edition, we are also opening the examination for faculties, working professionals, as well as startups. Talking about the exam guidelines, it would be 60 minutes for college students and 60 questions. 45 minutes for school students and 45 questions, and the same would be followed for teachers, working professionals, and startups. There is no negative marking in the examination, and in order to qualify, the candidate must score 40% and above. The process of the examination, registrations are beginning from August. The user-friendly interface of IPTSE Academy allows participants to register easily without any hassles. The registrants would be provided premium course material at a cost basis. Mock tests will begin in the month of November, where the participants will get 1 month's preparation time post-registrations, and mock tests will be available on the website for 15 days. Final examinations would be carried out in the month of December. So the third edition of IPTSE Awards and IP Conclave was organized virtually on 28th April 2021. Many eminent speakers like Dr. Anil Sahasrabuddhe graced the occasion with their presence and shared their valuable and informative insights. It was streamed live on a YouTube channel which received over 900 views. Sri Suresh Prabhu, who is the G7 and G20 India Sherpa and Member of Parliament, was the guest of honor in the first and second edition of IPTSE Conclave Awards. And this year we had Sri Anil Sahasrabuddhe, the chairman of AICTE, as the guest of honor. The benefits and awards of participating in the examination are as follows. Winners receive various prizes and scholarships along with exclusive visit to industry and internship opportunities. Certification and trophies are provided to those who have availed our course material. We have now initiated our Learn and Earn program, in which by becoming YouTube teacher or youth leader, you may earn by promoting IP awareness through our various social media platforms, and you may also receive unique and interactive course material at a cost basis prepared by research scholars under the supervision of IP experts. So the benefits of subscribing to our YouTube channel are as follows. You may interact with senior IP officials live on our YouTube channel. You will receive certificates from IPTSE Academy for each and every webinar you attend. You will receive various informative intellectual property topic videos weekly. And a lucky subscriber will be receiving an exciting gift voucher. We would also like to invite you guys to IPTSE Academy to join as a research scholar and get the opportunity to create content, write blogs, create YouTube videos, as well as reads in order to receive certificates from IPTSE Academy and letter of recommendation from various industrial experts as well. So I would like to announce a surprise contest for you all. Please stay. You may stay.
You may like to stay tuned, right? You wanted to say.
Yeah. You may like to stay tuned
Yeah.
throughout the panel discussion, and we'll be announcing a surprise contest for you all, in which you will give your answer in the Google form, which will be posted on the live chat box, and receive vouchers worth 1,000 rupees. The winner for the same would be announced in our next webinar. Thank you so much for viewing this presentation. I would now request everybody to please switch on their videos. And Saurabh sir, I think we can move on with the MOU signing ceremony.
Not now, it's at the end.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Ria.
Ria,
May I request Bakshi from PSCST for her introductory remarks.
very good morning to all of you, and it's my privilege on behalf of Punjab State Council for Science and Technology to welcome all the dignitaries, panelists. We have been largely joined by the coordinators of the IPR cells from Punjab. We have coordinators from the innovation cells. We also have from the TBIs, incubators, accelerators, the students, faculty, industry who has joined us for this. I really welcome all of you on behalf of PSCST. And I would say it's a notable day today that we are launching IP Literacy Drive for Punjab today. It's a big day for all of us. The endeavor is supported by IPTSE Academy. Thank you, Saurabh, for giving us all the flavor of this academy. And we are also thankful to IPTSE for recognizing our efforts, the contributions in the IP, which we have done from our center during the COVID times by awarding us with the IP Recognition Award. Thank you, IPTSE, for that. This endeavor, which we are taking up, the IP Literacy Drive, is not a solo initiative. It's not only has a one partner, that is IPTSE, but we have been joined by various support organizations who are supporting this endeavor. I'm very, very glad that USPT is actually supporting us in this endeavor. We have John with us. Very much thanks to you. And I know you are a seasoned and the IP professional who has a lot of expertise in the IP with your 30 years of experience. And we really look forward. You have been able to create so many success stories. There have been so much of the success which has come out, the practices which are there, which you feel. We would really love to listen to you, John, for what kind of environment we can set, the ecosystem we can set up for Punjab, especially when we talk of the incubators, we are talking of the startups. We really look forward to work with our USPTO on this endeavor. One of the major foundation stone for us is the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. It is their vision with which we could start with this IPR culture in the country. They were the ones who actually imbibed this vision by setting up of patent information centers all across the nation in different states. And they're supporting us for all the endeavors, the manpower, whatever kind of activities we are doing. We have with us Dr. Rashmi. We are really thankful for your continued support, and we really look forward. Under this drive, your inputs will be really valuable to us. We really look forward towards your contribution for this drive. Another strong pillar for us is the TIFAC DST DOI. Dr. Yashwant, I think, will be joining a little later, but he has actually given us the unstinted support when we talk of the patent filing grants. So they are a big supporter for us in this innovation ecosystem. Apart from Patent Information Center, which we set up in the year 1998 in the council, we're very proud that we also host the India's first Technology Innovation Support Center in the year 2017. It was only with our credentials that the DPIIT and the WIPO UN could recognize our efforts, and they gave us this desk. And we are working very close. CPAM has been they played an instrumental role in this. Pearl will be, I think, joining a little later. And this is how we started with our series, getting the first desk. And the beauty of this program is they are providing us the networking with the international community. We have access to the international databases, the tools which we are, and moreover, the more emphasis is on the IP commercialization and IP valuation. So we are working, that is another strong player, I would say. And along with that, we also have, we'll be joined a little later by Dr. Sahu. That's our counterpart in the TISC, Vishakhapatnam. We also look forward to have more synergies with the TISCs, which are all around the country. Then we have been joined, Mr. Dinesh Sharma is here. We really look forward, sir, because you have a real in commercialization, because this is what the need we feel for Punjab, that IP commercialization has to be really on a strong foot. So we really look forward towards your input from Dr. Sharma. And not least, when we talk of the corporate sector, the industry is a very, very important pillar when we talk of IP and innovation ecosystem. So we have a Lohita, and the Sheetal is also there, though she represents both. She is all-rounder. She's representing from all these sides. So thank you, Sheetal, for all the support. And we look from the counterparts how we can have these gaps which can be, fixed up between the industry and the academia can be there. What needs to be actually pulled in together to put this platform in place so that more interactions are there and we can come out with a more IP commercialization. So talking of our Patent Information Center, we have through this, we are 23 years old, and we are trying to put in whatever the programs, initiatives which we could do to get this IP culture in the state, to build this vibrant system. We are working with research institutions, we are working with incubators, we are working with industry, and we are doing lots of things which any IPS cell has to do. But the vision is much more, and I'm very happy that we have in Punjab 15 IPR cells, and we have 16 IPR clubs, which are respectively in the universities and engineering colleges. And they're doing wonderful job. During this journey, they have actually evolved really, and they have matured to such a level, because today we have a huge representation from the IPR cells. Their coordinators are with us, their students are with us. And during this evolution, we have seen that now they are independent. They're catering to the IPR issues of their institutions themselves. We recently saw the COVID pandemic situation, which was there. Lots of technologies which came out of these universities or these institutions. They were able to handle them, got them patented, commercialized, had industrial partners with them. So tremendous job is being done by our IPR cells from Punjab. So kudos to them. And there are more IPR cells who are joining us. We want to expand our innovation landscape, which I think will be doing very, very fast. So this about IP literacy drive, what we feel is that though we have been able to set up some infrastructure, but actually more needs to be done. We need to reach to more nooks and corners. We need to reach all the sections of society, has to be there. So that is why this IP literacy drive with all the partners like you. And we have various ideas with us. Like, for example, we have adult tinkering labs. So some dedicated sessions for these younger minds for tinkling their creativity has to be there. We need to also have certain dedicated sessions for academia and the emerging technologies in AI and the other things they need to come up. For incubators dedicated for their startups, the venture, angel, whatever we can feed. And then there are other important sections like NGOs are there because they need to have, because they are with the grassroots innovators. So NGOs needs to be also bring into the system. We also need to bring in the journalists into the system, because media these days is doing a great job. So I think with all, I just invite all of you to be a part of this mission. We really look forward not only to you, but to all whosoever has joined us. Please come out with suggestions, inputs, what you feel can help us to strengthen this IP ecosystem in Punjab. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Bakshi. May I now invite Mr. John Gabeka for his special remarks.
Good morning, everyone, and I hope I'm audible. Having some connectivity issues today, but hopefully you can hear me. So, good morning. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm the intellectual property counselor for South Asia, based here in the U.S. mission in New Delhi. And it's my great pleasure to be part of today's program. Thank you very much to IPTSE for our partnership. And we're happy again to support this effort. And also Dr. Bakshi and from PSCST, thank you very much for your kind remarks. We very much look forward to working with you and continuing to work together in the future. I thought I'd take a few minutes this morning just to highlight at a high level the role of intellectual property in economic growth, as well as the impact that IP has on all businesses. And when we think of intellectual property, sometimes we forget that intellectual property is a commodity. Intellectual property can be commercialized, intellectual property can generate revenue, and it can be leveraged. These are all extremely important for any business, especially an emerging enterprise that is really seeking to, while get started, also a big part of that is to get funding. And a large part of funding relies a lot on the efforts that businesses have taken to secure their intellectual property, to protect their confidential business information or trade secrets, as we like to call them, and to what extent for those business ventures that relate on technology, to what extent those ventures have sought patent protection. And this is one area coming from Silicon Valley where I've dealt a lot with venture capitalists and with other investors that you see a lot of variety of data regarding studies and the percent of funding for those startups that have technology, have patent protection versus those startups that don't. But one thing remains very clear is if you're a startup or a small business with patent protection and you're seeking funding, you will get more funding if you have secured your business assets with intellectual property. That's the general gist of all the studies that I've seen. The numbers vary from, and it also depends on the industry, whether it's in a high-tech industry like in semiconductors, or whether it's in a software-based industry or other industries that don't rely heavily on information technology. You'll see that the rates of investment vary, but bottom line is you still get more funding, more investment opportunity with patent protection. And the numbers I've seen vary from like 25% more to 65% more funding than without patent protection. So this is something that is important. And ultimately, whether you embrace IP at an early stage, which has always been my recommendation, or at a later stage, it's always more difficult at a later stage, but ultimately every business will need some form of intellectual property. So, and this is even more true, one of the things that I've seen is in the university space where, with academic institutions and research institutions, that they've become more and more involved in commercializing intellectual property through technology transfer and supporting the technology transfer out of the university and into the public domain and into the market. And in order to do this, the university needs to find new ways to support researchers and students in the development of their IP, determining to what extent the research institution or academic institution may wish to have a controlling interest of that intellectual property, or whether to allow the researcher or student to pursue it on their own with help from the university as well. But one of the things that ultimately, in all of the tech transfer models that I've seen in the US, they vary from university to university. But ones that I felt I would talk about today are ones that I feel the most successful tech transfer models are ones that partner with the city and the state and the central governments, like we are today, to bring together support and to highlight the importance of entrepreneurial and innovative activity. And we've seen universities bring this all under one roof, with resources, on hand where they're needed the most, at the early stages of development. But what rings true to me is it all really boils down to the coordination and cooperation to help our innovators succeed. And I see this with your MOU that you'll be signing today as a step in this very direction, one that will foster entrepreneurs to support them to become successful businesses, and one that relies heavily on state-focused support. And that's really where having that synergy and having that support are really where we'll see new opportunities for businesses to grow, foster, to generate investments with the security and understanding that intellectual property is respected and relied upon heavily for entrepreneurial activity in the state. So I commend the state of Punjab for all of these efforts, and also echo Dr. Bakshi's remarks earlier in this regard as well. So in closing, just congratulations again with the signing of your MOU. And for all the entrepreneurs and startups out there, I just leave you with a couple thoughts. And if your business has a tech focus, obviously you want to think about intellectual property and patent protection. But even if your business doesn't have a technology focus, think about intellectual property as well, protecting your brand, learning the different types of intellectual property, figuring out how they overlap, because they all overlap with each other, and to develop a strategy as part of your business strategy that incorporates intellectual property protection. With that, I will turn it back over to the program, and thank you again, and look forward to participating throughout today's event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful and valuable feedback and remarks. Thank you so much, John. Thank you. May I now invite Dr. Rashmi Sharma for her special remarks.
Thank you, Saurabh. A very good morning to all. It has been raining heavily in Delhi, so I hope that Chandigarh is fine and they are having a sunny day. First of all, I would like to congratulate Punjab State Council of Science and Technology to reach out and partner with Intellectual Property Talent Search Examination Academy, because this is a very important and extraordinary move. I must say that Punjab State Council is one of the best council in the country that always strive to excel in every domain, whether it is science communication, sustainable development, creation of social enterprise, or intellectual property right. So this is the one move which shows that they're striving for the best and they want to do excel in each and every domain. So, and all the credit of this initiative goes to their visionary leadership and the dedicated team. We all know that India is currently evolving as a knowledge-based economy, and it is proved by the facts that India ranks third in the scientific publications. India ranks 10th in the number of patents filed and 48th in the Global Innovation Index. So the intellectual property right is the key driver for the knowledge-based economy. And we all know that academia, industry, and government, they should all come together to strengthen this ecosystem. And we should learn from each other's best practices. And that is what I think the Punjab State Council has been doing. And they have been awarded IP award by IPTSE. And they are the PSCST center they also have from WIPO. So that is, they are learning from their best practices, and they are breaking the silos and reaching out for excelling in the field of IP as well. So if you see that, as Dr. Bakshi has already spoken about, that Punjab State Council established the PIC in the earlier days. We started this patent facilitation program in 1995 when WTO opened up, and during that time we started with the patent facilitation center at TIFAC, and then we started establishing the patent information centers because we knew that at that point of time that we cannot do alone. So we need to have this center-state collaborations, center-state partnership to evolve this IP culture in the country. So the Punjab's PIC was the second one in the 1998. We supported them, and they have grown till date. And it is happy to note that in the last 3 years, the rank of the, if we see the state-wise ranking of in the country, the Punjab ranking in IP filing has increased. From 8th, they have moved to 4th in this year, in last 3 years. So, which is tremendous, and which should be applauded, because it is the contribution of the PIC established at Punjab State Council. And I would also make a note of this, that it is also the academic institutions in the Punjab, like Chandigarh University, which is filing the largest number of the patent, which has filed in 19 as per the report 2020 of the controller of patents. So this is what they are contributing towards the culture of patent in the state. So my suggestions will be that we should not only look for the awareness drive. This is one step. This is the first step towards, because whatever innovations, as per the UK government's report, that most of the creative thinking comes with the children at the age of up to 5. Then 98% of the children are innovative in their thoughts. And then once they grow up to 10 years of age, the innovation level goes to, the creative thinking process goes to 30%. And then later on, up to 15 years of age, it goes to 10%. And then in adulthood, it is only 2%. So you have to catch them at the younger age, and you have to maybe conduct more of the product development workshops, and you have to showcase them that the process of product development, and mentor them, and guide them towards what is the process step by step, and where the innovation lies, and what is the importance of IP filing there. And then maybe you have to generate more and more of ideathons or hackathons, So competitive idea generations, so that they can you can select the best ideas out of that and nurture them to and take it towards the IP filing and successful product development. And I would also like to give because we are evolving as in the patent facilitation center is also patent facilitation program is also evolving at Department of Science and Technology. So we would like that the patent information centers and the patent facilitation center at Delhi, they should take up the responsibility of translation as well, like the technology transfer. So this is very important, and I am happy that this initiative has been taken up by the Punjab State Council, and I hope that this will turn out to be a role model for the other state councils as well, so that whenever we are talking about that, we should learn from each other's best practices under the state science and technology program, and we should learn from each other's best practices, and we should showcase them as a model. So maybe this will be a model which will be created by the Punjab State Council and which will be adopted by the other state SNT councils as well. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk my mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashmi, for for highlighting the importance of the IP Olympiad and much desired collaboration from all the across the to make it more successful, so that larger audience can be benefited. I just noticed that I think Dr. Sahu has also, Dr. B.K. Sahu from NRDC has also joined. I would like to welcome him. Good morning, Dr. Sahu.
Good morning, Saurabh. Good morning, all. It is an honor for me to joining in this program of the.
Thank you. So we can now proceed for the MOU signing ceremony. I would like to invite PSCST for MOU ceremony. Dr. Kaur.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure. So it's a virtual signing. So it's a virtual signing. So it has to be like this. So here I have this MOU in front of me, and I'm signing it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Congratulations to both the partners, and I hope that this will create a model which will be replicated by the other councils as well.
Thank you, Dr. Rashmi.
Thank you. So may I now invite Dr. Jitendra Kaur Arora, Executive Director, PSCST, for her inaugural remarks.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you, first of all, Dr. Rashmi, for being here, Dr. John, Dr. Sahu, Sheetal, Saurabh, and your teams. I think there were 2 or 3 very important carry-home messages, which Dr. John and Rashmi shared. I'll take from there. One, Dr. Rashmi just mentioned that, and thank you first of all, Dr. Rashmi, for your kind words. Ever since, this very dynamic duo, I would say, Dr. Devapriya Datta and Dr. Rashmi have taken over State Science Technology program in Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. What our collective endeavor is that let us in each state bring out the best practices which can be emulated in the other states. So today, the effort that we'll be making, we've already signed an MOU, and it's now for the teams of both the organizations to take this forward. How effective we make this drive, how effective we make this campaign, because it's directly in alignment with the national IPR policy. The first objective says that let's make each member of the society aware of the benefits of IP. So let's see how effective we will be in doing that, because that will not be restricted to one state only. That will then carry the message to the other states as well. And John, what you shared in beautiful words, I would like to mention here that very recently, the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister came up with a report which is called R&D Expenditure Ecosystem. There, somewhere in the report or in its preface itself, the scientific, principal scientific advisor to Government of India, Professor Vijay Raghavan, has said that if the researchers and scientists in our universities and institutions recognize governments and industry as their partners, miracles can happen. So that's what precisely, John, you mentioned in terms of, you said it's the most effective model that you have seen in terms of technology transfer, that wherever there is a linkage with the states, with what you said, the provincial government, the federal government, exactly what it translates to is that if research is aligned to what are the needs of the center or state government, then it is bound to translate into a technology which will have application. And if the researchers have an IP on that, it is bound to have translative impact, and it's also bound to generate wealth. So again, to share with all of you that as Dr. Rashmi was sharing, that we are trying to, in Punjab, set up some first of their kind practices, which will be followed by the other states. The other one, besides this drive that we are taking, and also besides the Technology Innovation Support Center, which was set up, the first was set up in Punjab by WIPO UN. I have my colleague, Dr. Sahu from NRDC, who also has a TISC, and he's a very effective leader in taking it forward. We also have now in a couple of other states also. Another Dr. Sahu with SAHOO in Gujarat is also taking it forward very effectively. So, we started, and it's now being taken forward by many states. Also, we've started very recently one very unique exercise. It is called State Science Technology Innovation Observatory, or State Science or a framework that how do we map these science technology innovation happening at the state level, and then how we develop these strategies to augment those. Again, this is supported by Dr. Datta, Dr. Rashmi, and their teams in Department of Science and Technology in Government of India. They have worked very hard, to give a vision to this. And now we are coming up with the entire framework. At this moment, all our colleagues from IPR cells, from the universities and institutions, they are aware that we have certain ranking frameworks. We have to start with a Global Innovation Index ranking framework. Dr. Rashmi shared with everyone that India is at the 48th position. And it is our endeavor that with the gatherings with like-mindeds like all of you, I'm very hopeful that in very shortly we'll be able to take India to the first 25. At the moment, we are in first 50. Coming back to the endeavor being taken in that direction, you are aware that there's this global innovation index ranking, ranking framework. There is this national innovation index ranking framework, which has been given by NITI Aayog. There is NIRF and so on. But sometimes it remains in numbers. In terms of translating it to the sense of ownership, to the governments, to the researchers, to the industry working in each state, which will then cumulatively contribute towards the innovation happening at the central level. If I would say to bringing the science technology innovation at the center stage of development, if we are aiming at that, then each one of us need to take an ownership as to what all that we are doing, which will contribute towards that. So it's in that direction that we are developing this framework. We are talking to each stakeholder. We are talking to experts that what do you think, makes the components of a state level science technology innovation framework? What are the enablers and what are the outputs or the outcomes which the enablers can then finally give? As I said, India is calling in its national policy it as a national STI observatory. So Punjab is the first state to be working on the lines of developing a state STI observatory with the support of Dr. Rashmi and her team. And this will be a model document, model web platform, which will then be available for others to comment upon, others to emulate. Also, I'd like to share with you that we made a multi-pronged beginning in that direction. Dr. Bakshi, my colleague, and her team here in the S&T Council, they have recently mapped the entire startup ecosystem of Punjab. John, you were mentioning about tech-led startups and urging them to build a portfolio, IP portfolio, as it will help them secure funding, as it will help them project themselves in the in the manner that tech-led startups need to be projected. So what we have done, we have mapped, and again, it's not mapping in terms of just writing few lines about each incubator on paper. It has been extensive stakeholder consultation, bringing a sense of ownership among each one of them, the incubators, their tech-led startups, what are the, how much, we have the incubation space in Punjab, what are the key strengths of each incubator, and what more needs to be built up, in which domain areas the tech-led startups are working in Punjab. It's a beautiful report which has come up. We'll be shortly putting it on DST Government of India's web portal, as well as the state S&T Council's web portal. It's in the just stages of fine-tuning. GIZ has supported it as well, along with the startup Punjab. Also, when I say it's a holistic initiative, we are working towards. We recently took a stock of IP portfolio of the state of Punjab, say in the last decade. Again, we'll be coming up with it's in the final stages of fine tuning, and we'll be coming up as a part of the state STI ranking framework. So maybe this will be one of the documents which will come in public domain as a part of that. So when I share with you that we had a look at what was the state's IP portfolio in the last decade, there are close to, I'll give you the exact number, 3,047 patents published from Punjab, and 2,487 designs, industrial designs. And as Dr. Rashmi also mentioned, the name of the Chandigarh University, and there are a couple of more universities. So I'm happy to share with you that in the last 2-3 decades, there has been a significant jump in the number of patents being filed from Punjab. And we all can visualize, if we keep working towards this through focused initiatives like the one we are initiating today, this number can actually further increase substantially. So again, to give you in terms of figures, in the last 2 to 3 years, I'll give you the figure of patent applications filed. I told you in 3047 is the number of last 1 decade, and in 2021 itself, out of these 1439 patents are those which have been published in 2021. And we'll also share with you that but we feel that there's much more potential, because the number of PhDs, number of masters in various domains of science, technology that we have in Punjab, the number is really large. Again, talking in terms of enablers and the outputs, we have to bridge this gap. We have a lot of strength in terms of enablers. If I share again with you a number, the number of doctorate enrollments per million population are the highest in Chandigarh, in the country. We have 861 doctorate enrollments per million population, which are alone in the capital of Punjab, in Chandigarh. And also I would like to share that when we introspect, we see that some of the districts are really coming forward. For example, the patent publications the numbers I gave you, Mohali and Kapurthala are the 2 districts which are leading. When I talk of industrial designs, Ludhiana is the district which is leading. And also if I talk of the domains, engineering or the manufacturing sector is the one which is leading in terms of patent applications. We now plan to also focus on border districts in Punjab, from where we are virtually having no patent applications or design applications. So this introspection has kind of given us a good perspective. We need to focus on the grassroots innovators. Grassroots innovations also find mention in the National Innovation Index ranking framework. So, I'll maybe in 3-4 minutes wind up. When I talk to the innovators, the researchers, I really get charged, and I really want to share a lot of things. But I understand, we have a technical session planned also after this. So I just like to share 1 or 2, examples with you. And as John said, please look at your innovations from that lens, that are they patentable, because that will really add, in times to come, monetary value as well to your organization. So one example that quickly I would like to share with you is that I have in my own organization a technology facilitation division, which I have a strong team of engineers which works closely with government, which works closely with industry. And also, before I forget, again, Dr. Rashmi and her team have started a very unique initiative of mapping science and mapping the unmet needs of the states, which can be addressed through science, technology, and innovation. Each S&T council is doing that, and also mapping the unmet needs of industry, which can be addressed through technology interventions. So this team of mine works very closely with industry, very closely with the government, the development departments. So one need that we this is a list of needs which are coming forward, and very soon we'll be posting these on our web portals, so that the institutions can, the researchers can align their research works with those, their students can work on those needs. Talking of one need, that the Government of India was coming up, revising the policy for emissions, which are air emissions for brick kilns. Understanding that need, that these emissions will be now drastically reduced because the country wants a cleaner environment. From 750, the emission standard will go to 250. So a technology had to come, which will help industry to meet those needs. So DST supported us. We came up with the technology. We set up one demonstration unit, and we also applied for the patent for this technology. And I'm happy to share with you that within last 2 to 2.5 years, 1,000 brick kilns in Punjab and adjoining states have adopted this technology. So, and also when I urged the researchers, the startups to go in for patent filing, and I said it'll add to yours and as well as your organization's monetary value. Here I would like to say it will add to the benefits of the users which will use your patent, because each brick kiln they came forward to adopt this technology because they stood to benefit immensely. The quality of their brick kilns improved, the usage of their fuel decreased, their emissions reduced by 75%. So I think this one example, of just targeting one industry, I thought I'll share with you, and the kind of impact it has generated, and the perpetual problem of black fume, emanating from brick kilns has vanished. And one more example quickly I'll share with you and wind up, that we have set up, we collaborated with a cooperative society in Kandi area, which is a relatively backward area of Punjab. And it has become a huge success story where everybody, I would say, wants to go and have a look at. It's a cooperative model. We are the anchors in that, arranged the space, brought in the innovation in terms of vision, brought in cooperative society, and it is generating now the employment to the tune of 2.5 lakh man days every year, especially for women of that area. So every small innovation, and my teams now continue to support such innovators. For example, we keep Dr. Rashmi urged that we run hackathons and so on. We keep doing that at the moment in a small way, tiny steps. Slowly, I'm sure we'll take giant steps as well. We recently supported few startups which are working in environment domain. We supported startups which are working for COVID management. And we are supporting 20 innovators, students who wish to turn themselves into tech-led startups by offering them a focused skill development program of 6 months duration. They also get a stipend of 10,000 per month for that. There is a whole mentorship during that 6 months, and also their attachment with industry. And industry is also paid a retainership fee of 50,000 for hosting one candidate. So these are some of the initiatives which keep happening in Punjab, and I hope today's drive will help us in taking more steps in this direction. Thank you all of you for joining today. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur. Thank you so much for your wonderful the feedback, and the important point you have already mentioned, that the around 3,700 numbers have been done in last 10 years, and we have added up almost about 1,400 number in last 1 year. So I think we can see a growth of somewhere about 38%. So if I do the mathematics, so ultimately we can see a 1 lakh number in next 10 years with a growth of 38% on a year to year. The power of compounding.
Yeah, though it's not a linear process, I would say, but yes, mathematically, why not?
Correct. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jatinder Kaur Arora, for your enlightening remarks. Moving on to the panel discussion on role of intellectual property in inclusive growth, I would now like to invite our moderator, Dr. Sheetal Chopra, along with our panelists, Dr. Yashwant Dev Panwar, Dr. B.K. Sahu, Ms. Pearl Sopti, Ms. Lohita Sujit, and Mr. Dinesh Sharma. I would like to request all of you to please switch on your videos. Handing over to you, Dr. Chopra.
Thank you so much, Ria. Just let me know if I am audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a super exciting inaugural session. Thoroughly loved it. In fact, there were so many good remarks that came from all of them, Dr. Rashmi or Dr. Kaur, Dr. Jatinder Kaur, Dr. Tapinder Bakshi, John, Saurav. You did refer to ideathons or hackathons. You did mention about catching people when they are really young, so that it gets embedded into their genetic makeup and they become creators on their own rather than nudging them and pushing them to take that particular stride. Super happy to note all those remarks, and I'm sure that this panel discussion would be as live, as we've got a set of great speakers now here joining from both government and industry. As Ria has already mentioned their names, I won't call their names and designations again, just to save on the time. But we do have three speakers from government, very senior experts in the domain of IP. And also we do have two representatives from industry, and I'm sure this combination will do a great justice to all the listeners. Let me first just give you a briefer on IPTSE, and I'm very happy, like Dr. Tapinder Bakshi already spoke in the morning, it's not a single-handed effort, it's a combination of many more. And now we see NRDC joining, we see TIFAC, Creative First, Ericsson, USPTO, PSCST, DPIT, all coming in different ways, whether as speakers or extending their logos, or supporting the academy in a sense that more and more people take the examination, because unless you prepare for an exam, you won't ever study for it. So we are very happy to support this initiative, and we pray that it continues to grow. Let me just start to invite the panelists one by one, and I'll invite Dr. Sahu, Dr. B.K. Sahu first from NRDC, because we are aware that he has to leave for some other meeting as well. Dr. Sahu, you have been very instrumental in making sure that commercialization of IP happens. And also you do always refer about industry-academia collaboration. We would like to know from you, what are the opportunities, what are the situations that exist today, and any do's and don'ts that you would recommend when it comes to industry-academia collaboration and the commercialization. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sheetal Chopra. Good morning, all. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, very much.
Okay. Thank you. It's an honor for me to joining with the great program and to Punjab Council of Science and Technology, because we have also learned many things from Dr. Kaur and their team, and they are also assigned with the beautiful opportunity of TISC, and also transfer many environmental sound technology. And also my panelist, Dr. Yashwant Dev, John Kebeka, and Paul Sopti, and all the respected and very knowledgeable experts who are making the difference to the nation and nation building. As Dr. Sheetal told, that academia industry collaboration and value creation on intellectual property. And friends, you know that last, I think since 23rd July 2021, we came out with this report. And this is the Parliament Committee on Intellectual Property Right. So this is a time to revisit where we stand on intellectual property and how we are making the difference on this intellectual property. So intellectual property, we must not confine to protection. We must have to create the value out of it. And today that is lacking in our ecosystem of innovation when we are talking about national innovation ecosystem at university level or the academia level. And we are not able to channelize the idea to the market. And it is the high time for all of us to connect academia and industry, and that is nothing but bringing Saraswati and Lakshmi together in the changing paradigm of innovation ecosystem. And with that respect, we have got so some kind of opportunity and making our difference in connecting the dot, particularly translating knowledge from idea and providing value addition to that idea in the form of new process and product and transferring into the industry. And in fact, just now I shared with our team, I mean, particularly all KISS group, IPFC group, and also some of our seniors who are always guiding factor for this IP commercialization. Today, IP commercialization is something lacking in our ecosystem. And I was going through one university and they have filed many number of patents. But what is the use of the patent and how we are making the difference with that patent? How we are connecting that patent, that idea, or because that may be useful for MSME startup and also the opportunity of collaboration. And we, as you know, opportunity of collaboration, particularly on intellectual property, is for development of technology, value addition, and also franchising or licensing. That is lacking in Indian ecosystem of innovation as far as the intellectual property protection is concerned. And friends, you know that OECD has come out with a report in 2012 that it has been reported that 1% of increase of GDP if we can mitigate the challenge of intellectual property. And you can see that OECD report on developing countries on intellectual property. So it is a high time for all of us to strengthen IP and also our mindset towards IP and create a benefit sharing. And that benefit sharing is nothing but transferring the technology, small technology. We are not talking about high-end technology. And 2 days back, we transfer one of the technology to one of the company. And the beauty of the companies and the inventor is that both are the women. And you can understand this is nothing but bringing Lakshmi and Saraswati. And that kind of ecosystem is need of the hour. And in fact, I'm happy that this kind of program is certainly creating impact and connecting with each other, because I have not connected with the team of PSCST and some of our friends are there. But in this program, I am able to learn our own friend from our ecosystem of DPIIT, the CPAM, who is going to play a very, very important role in the transformation and awareness of intellectual property. They are playing important role today, but at the same time, it is a high time to complement and supplement with each other. The way USPTU has joined hand with us, and also TIFAC is playing a very, very important role in bringing Lakshmi and Saraswati together, the Women Scientist Program. And I think that is the best program today the India has got, and in the form of Nari to Narayani. And we must have to connect, collaborate, and also mitigate the challenge of technology transfer and licensing. That is need of the hour. And I'll urge all of you, if you are finding any kind of technology and that is that has a value in the market, you please connect to us, because we have an ecosystem for transferring technology, because we do market survey, we do BDP, we do a lot of things in technology valuation, and also we have a team of people, and we have a legal team for collection of the royalty. And the collection of royalty from transfer of technology is nothing but sharing the benefit, because everyone are accountable and join hand, and that is the role of intellectual property, and that will strengthen to the nation and nation building, and that's nothing but our technology self-reliance. And I'm happy that you have given me opportunity. I have another presentation at 12:30. I have to leave, and thank you, Sital Chopra. And in fact, Yashwandi ji is there, so he should speak fast, but I have requested Sital to give me an opportunity so that I can join another program. Thank you, all of you. God bless you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Sahu. Would it be possible for you to maybe spare 1 more minute?
Yes.
What you discussed is extremely important. Like patent is just a paper tiger if it is not commercialized, right? It's just that you can scare someone that I have something, don't invent, but it's of no benefit for you yourself unless you can get some wealth out of it. So जब आप startups का you help in commercialization. I'm sure you get in touch with so many startups, right? What is that 2 to 3 good things that you would have seen which would have made it easy for you to make commercialization easy for some startup, but बाकी के लिए बहुत difficult रहा होगा? What was that you would like to highlight?
Let me tell you now the understanding about technology and also because and demand. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. And today our dynamic of innovation system ecosystem is market driven, invention driven and technology driven. And today startup MSME are now diversifying to that aspect. And that's our opportunity to, because IPR is nothing but a strategy to penetrate the MSME and startup by saying that this is a patented technology and there is a less infringement. And because infringement is one of the biggest challenge for MSME and startup, they are not going to mitigate the challenge when this case goes to the court level. So now the startup people understand, and those who are technology driven manufacturing startup, they are very well understand. And we are fortunately having some of the technology we have transferred in recent time are patented, and also we are giving a non-exclusive licensing so that we can create n number of MSME, transfer it to n number of the people in the various geographical location. And let me also tell you one small technology, that is recycling of plastic waste to tile, as Professor Dr. Kaur was talking about. And this is technology developed by our own CSIR lab and patented technology, and scientists already retired from NPL. But this technology we were able to transfer to 13 states, and you can understand 13 startups are now mitigating the challenge of this environmental pollution from the plastic and making recycling of plastic waste. Not only the society is getting benefit, the startup is getting benefit, the society is getting benefit, and also the inventor who have created and retired now getting the royalty out of it. And that is nothing but innovation and value creation, particularly translating from mind to market, bedside to bedside. And that's our sum of small role and impact in the nation in transferring the technology and protecting IP. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Sahu. Needless to say, NRDC, TIFAC, GPIT, CPAM, PSCST, all tests are doing great job. We had never heard about them. I think 3-4 saal pehle to it wasn't as at least 5 to 6 years. It's been now that much time. It has become very active now, and that we are able to see this. You did mention about environment saving technology. Dr. Kaur did mention about that as well. And in WIPO, I think there is also a green technology separate category where such patents are expedited for grant. So similar things could be looked at by developing nations such as us, if it is possible. But thank you so much, Dr. Sahu, for your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So I think continuing with the government speakers, after hearing from Dr. Sahu, I think we should go to Dr. Yashwant now, since he already referred to Kiran program, which has been one very famous. I have been faculty in many of those programs. Girls who come there are super intelligent. They are PhDs. They are the ones who are taking care of their home, front, husband, students, themselves, and they are becoming entrepreneurial. So Dr. Yashwant, it's a great job that is being done by your team under your leadership. If you could explain a bit for those who are now hearing and may not be aware of it, and also if you could mention about what are the protection strategies when it comes to filing abroad. India, we've heard about it, but what are the strategies that you'll recommend for those entrepreneurs? Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Seetal. Hope I'm audible because I'm sitting in Pune.
Audible, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I think you had a right person to speak on commercialization, Sahu, and I echo with his thought process. This IP has no value if it has not been enforced appropriately. So real value of intellectual property rights in enforcing, not in protection. And the commercialization or licensing is a one path where you can exceed to a next level, and then enforcement has to happen in the process. And I'm glad that Dr. Sahu has referred the scheme which we run as WSC, Women Scientist Scheme, Kiran IPR, and now it has been renamed as a WISE Kiran IPR, Women in Science and Engineering. So this scheme is for those women who are away from science and technology due to family reason. So to bring them back to mainstreaming of science, so it would be very difficult for them to do research with a lot of responsibility. So it was thought by Department of Science and Technology in 2002 to have this scheme for training these women on intellectual property rights, so they can have their enthusiasm and a need of intellectual discussion satisfied with having discussion with inventors on a recent technological or recent innovations which are happening around the country and the globe. So they are well acquainted with modern science and scientific and technological development. And in the process, they also earn a livelihood and some kind of income is added to their family. So that the scheme, this is 1 year training on intellectual property rights. And this is not a classroom teaching, it's a hands-on training with real IP practitioner, be it patent attorneys, IP cells in the university. So this is 1 year training. And why this is important? Because last date for applying for this scheme in the next coming batch 12th is 31st July. So I think you can look at our website of TIFAC and you can fill online application if you are really interested to become part of this IP movement, what Sahu has called as a Saraswati in the area of intellectual property rights, and making you to be friend with Lakshmi also. So another scheme we run, I think Dr. Rashmi would have already mentioned, we implement in TIFAC the scheme of Department of Science and Technology to facilitate filing a patent on behalf of academic institutions and government R&D institutions. And the mechanism for filing patent in India has already been, as you said, been discussed. But the question comes, how do we go and file, protect our inventions abroad? Because it costs a huge money. So if you really have to protect, let's say, Europe or US, so based on the area of invention and the potential, we really need to strategize where do we go and protect our inventions and which all countries should be a potential candidate. And we cannot go and just file patent in many countries. And after 1 or 2 years, we find that we don't have enough fund to really take those patent to a conclusion, to grant and commercialization or a licensing, because we really have to see our resources. So area of technology is very, very important. See, if we have an invention relating to, let's say, synthetic thickener, which is popular, maybe the technology is usable in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Malaysia, or may not find a use in Western countries. So we will not go and file patent in those countries. But if, let us say, we have such an invention which do not have use in these countries and the cutting edge technology, which we need to protect in those countries. And a very good example we have from Indian Institute of Science, we have filed 3 patents on testing different body parameters. And this is a handheld device which tests many parameters. Even it replaces glucometer, it replaces hemoglobin test, H1B, the diabetic, all test results are obtained within a few minutes through a handheld device. And we filed 3 patents in Europe. We filed patent in US. Now difficulty comes for these patents that we have to spend a lot of money before grant also in Europe for paying renewal fee time to time. So really what any patent filer has to do is to do a real budgeting and then see your resources, and accordingly you proceed for filing patent in different territories. And you can target the territories. See, if in any territory, if you think that that product cannot be manufactured, and if product can be manufactured in 3 or 4 countries or 1 country or 2 countries, you better go and file patent in those countries rather than going around the globe and filing patent in other countries. So depending on the use strategy, depending on the production capability, you strategize filing patent in other countries. And not only Indian institutions or Indian setups have problem in spending. I was part of some institutions in US for having, so they also face a heat of filing patent in many countries. So they also have become very selective and wise in spending money strategically. So we have to have an appropriate strategy before going and spending money outside the country. And there is no fun having just patent, and no patent of any country is superior or inferior.
Looks like some network issues.
Is there any issue?
Yeah, now you are back. In between, we just lost you when you were talking about the problems that they face in prosecuting in other countries.
Okay.
After that, there was a gap.
Okay. I think we all have to budget and plan well before filing patents, because once you file patent and a lot of expenditure comes and you don't know what to do now, because you should be aware at the initial stage how much expenditure is going to be for that particular patent application in which country. So that has to be done. So we have discussed this women scientist scheme and strategy for filing abroad, and then deciding based on nature of an invention, maybe or production capability can be a factor where you decide which country you need to protect your invention. So if the production is possible in one country, then you file patent in that country, protect. So you actually protect the whole globe. You're not filing in patents in hundreds of countries. And this is true not only with Indian agencies, it's true with all agencies, that budgeting is very, very important. So I think I would like to reopen what Dr. Jatinder Kaur said about this BrickClean technology. See, I would like to add a couple of points. So she said more than 100 licenses are there. So each license fetches them a license fee of few thousand. So now their income generation from that patent licensing is also, I think, would have crossed 1 crore of rupees within a span. And very importantly, in this patent, they did not wait for grant of patent to license this. Immediately after filing of a patent, because the homework was done very well in protecting that particular invention jointly by TIFAC and PSCST. So they were immediately after filing and publication, they were able to license that particular technology and did not wait for the grant of patent. So that's because most of the inventors in our country say the grant of patent takes 5 years, 6 years. So that is a hindrance in the technology. That is not. Actually, patent is right start from date of publication. And immediately after filing, the commercialization effort should start. Because I have seen in many academic institutions after 10 years, say, oh, patent was not granted, so we did not make any efforts in commercialization. So real value is not in getting. The real value of patenting is an exploitation of intellectual property rights, or is exploitation of a patent. With these remarks, I think I should close and open for your questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Yashwant. I think you made a very relevant point. In fact, personally, I know some startups, even they never waited for a patent to get granted. I think when they were asking for a seed funding, the funding agency were more interested in just knowing how much are they aware of IP? Are they really serious business? Do they really know it as well, rather than really looking into the grant finally, the final claims? But more so, are they respecting others' IP, and do they have their own something in the kitty? So very relevant point that you made. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very important. See, it's not one patent, one product. So you filed one patent, you start further developing it and not waiting for really grant a patent. You will come up with 5 more patents in the process of developing that particular product. So it's ever continuing process of
Yeah.
filing patent and commercializing it. So I
Correct.
do agree with your.
Yeah. And Dr. Yashwant, एक और question था मेरा, जैसे you were telling about strategies in filing in other countries, and one of, so if there are multinationals, they certainly don't have issue, they have sources wherewithal. But for Indian startups, let's say अगर उनको बाहर file करना है, Indian patent agents cannot prosecute on their behalf in other countries, and they have to really find out who in that country is the right agent, how much is their charge. Is there something that TIFAC is working with CPAM or DPIIT in giving any submission ki ye ho in terms of reciprocity during bilateral negotiations?
Not really to that extent which you are talking, but see, the TIFAC has a facility for academic institutions and government R&D institutions to really help them financially and technically to prosecute those patent application in other countries. So we do have that facility for academic and government R&D institutions, and not for really we do not have any money or a kitty separately for startup or individuals in our scheme. But I believe you lost contact. If Dr. Sahu is there, they have really a scheme for everybody for
Yes.
filing patent abroad. So if there is a commercial value on a licensing fee, NRDC sees a value, they may definitely take it to patent filing in other countries for individuals and a startup based on the business interest and those possible outcomes. So the system is there in the government. I really don't know. The CPAM is supporting the cause in other countries. I think somebody from CPAM can comment on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is 100% funding, is it? From R&D institutions?
Yeah, government R&D, this is 100%. What we have a separate system of panel of patent attorneys. So all the applications are processed through that panel. All the application are through passenger. We are directly paying to attorney, so there is no cost on applicant. See, the invention which I was talking from IISC, so everything is borne by TIFAC, and now revenue generation come, TIFAC may not seek any funds back as in royalty or anything, whereas NRDC would seek some portion of it because they are doing on a business terms and conditions. But we are not open for all, so that is the difference. That's where they are ahead of it, and facilities for all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yashwant, for excellent remarks. A lot of learning. I've put in a lot of points. I think this gives us a very good segue to talk to Pearl now from CPAM. Pearl, welcome. And since you represent DPIIT and CPAM both, and there have been references quite many times about TISC and how DPIIT has been instrumental in launching many of those in so many different states. If you could, because in most of the webinars, most of the startups, whenever we talk to, the only one single point of their discussion is, isko kaise commercialize karna hai, monetize nahi ho raha hai, kahan pe jaएं? And I think when you talked about TISCs, I think it will be useful for everyone to know if you can just elaborate on that, what these are.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Pearl this side, I represent CPAM and DPIIT. So the point I would add to first, maybe I would start with a positive note saying on that brick kiln technology. I would request Dr. Arora and Dr. Kaur to extend it to other states as well, because currently, as mentioned by them, that they had been able to contact and provide technology to Haryana or Punjab or neighboring states. It would be a good idea that is, considering we have such a good test network, let's explore and take this technology across India. That would be like, because this pollution problem and bricks are there across the country. And if we can contribute to a small portion of controlling this pollution, it would have a significant impact in the long run. next, coming to where Dr. Yashwant left, saying on IP management, that strategizing IP management is very important. I understand, yes, it is very important because even bigger corporates are nowadays strategizing which country to file which product. Earlier, there were times, even though corporates have sufficient financial, they would take a PCT and file in all the countries. Now they are also taking a call that whether it makes sense marketing wise, that whether we should select these countries or whether we should select 5 countries, top 10 countries. So why not for startups? And strategizing IP management is really important for them. Coming to the TISC network. So this process of establishing technology and innovation support centers started in 2017, and PCST was the first TISC established under this purview. And we are happy to see that we are progressing in this TISC technology. In 4 years, we have been able to establish 11 TISCs, and these have been in various states, starting from Gujarat, Odisha. Jammu and Kashmir was a recent one wherein these people have already pitched in and they are trying to create, because in Jammu and Kashmir, the first issue they have to take care is on awareness as well, because Jammu and Kashmir has not been able to really venture into IPR awareness as compared to other states, which have been quite ahead on that part. So these tests, what these tests helps are connecting innovators, startups to the concerned, say, organizations, or connecting innovators to the startups, so that the ultimate motive of commercialization happens. So sometimes what happens is there are technologies which are at innovator levels and do not reach the true potential because there are no connecting points. Like you were saying, ki kahan jaye. So that kahan jaye problem solves with these tests, that yes, they know there is a place which is very local. Approaching a central ministry or a central department is really not very feasible. That's why WIPO or DPIT felt that there should be a local innovation center wherein it is easy for any innovator to approach and to have a specialized services available wherein they can identify whether their technology is patentable, whether you can file that patent, whether there is a possibility on trademark, whether they should wait, whether there is any opportunity for commercialization available. So that was kind of a local ecosystem given to each innovator and each startup, which was the basis of these technology innovation centers. And after these establishment, these technology innovation centers have established till now 135 IPR cells in their respective states. So which is a kind of contributing, going to the grassroots level by creating those IPR cells. And to tell you what the ultimate goal of these tests should be, like as an example, there was a drug stavudine which was discovered by a university in US, and later on it was taken over by BMS. The product was taken over, and in 1 year the university achieved a royalty of $40 million in 1997. And there are several examples in US wherein the licensing of these drug molecules to the industry is very common. We would like similar thing happening in India. There are several examples which have happened, but a smaller scale. But we would want it to be at a, say, national level, international level. This is the kind of overview we are looking at. We want to make that impact in IPR regime. We want to make these tests having connects with small innovators who contribute significantly to this IPR ecosystem. India has already made into top 50 top 50 innovative economies. If we want to push to top 10 or say top 20, we have to venture into more of these kind of collaborations, more of these licensing agreements. We have to pull our IPR ecosystem to the extent which is possible. And I know, and everybody knows, that India is has a history of sharing whatever they have. But currently, the regime which we have to think is that yes, we'll share our knowledge, we are open to sharing, but before that, we'll protect, we'll file, we'll register, we'll grant, and then commercialize. That should be the ultimate goal. It's not, it's easy to, we have already shared lots of Ayurveda, we have shared our Vedas, we have shared our traditional knowledge. Now let's think about, as an Indian economy to grow, we have to protect before sharing. So I think that's all from my side. Thank you, Sheetal.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pearl. I think very well said point. Like you rightly mentioned, protection is, it's a precursor to sharing now, so that it is well safeguarded, and it's coming from CPAM and DPIIT. It makes all the more sense because ultimately patent offices are part of DPIIT and they are the granting authorities. So thanks so much for saying that. You mentioned about TISCs, Pearl. These are all government-led institutions, right? If I may rightly say.
Yeah.
Correct?
These are
under government. So which would mean that any commercialization that happen, it's for it's like completely free, right? I mean, anybody can come. They don't have to pay any equity or any. Or is there any sort of sharing between the two? How does it work?
No, so that agreement is a bilateral agreement between the innovator and the respective space. So NRDC being one of the TISC, so each has an individual agreement with each innovator. So it's up to their licensing terms, how those licensing terms are there. So government doesn't play a role in that.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Right. Thank you so much, Pearl. It was good to hear all the government remarks from all of you, from NRDC, TIFAC, and then CPAM. Now we come straight to industry remarks. And now we have Lohita and Dinesh. Lohita, over to you. You represent creative sector, and creativity is not limited to a particular stream or a particular domain. You can actually cross venture. What would you say about importance of IP for faculties and students, more so in the realm of connecting the dots with economy? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Sheetal. And first of all, thank you, IPTSE and PSCST, for inviting us to discuss this, very pertinent subject. Since I represent the media and entertainment sector, we pretty much are in the realm where technology, science, and creativity meet. And without creativity, there will be no innovation. I'd like to kind of, cite an example, a blast from the past, about how creators can actually become great inventors. I'm not sure if the students and faculty here have heard about a very famous actor called Hedy Lamarr. She actually used creative tools, musical instruments, to invent a machine which then helped jam radio guided torpedoes. And this particular invention, received a patent in 1942. Now, the relevance of this today is the fact that we are in the world of what is called a metaverse. I'm sure most of you all would have read about it, but metaverse is the future where alternative digital realities will help us work, play, and socialize. We're already seeing parts of it evolve in COVID, right from this very panel discussion, which is happening, virtual. It's very certain that in the future, our physical reality will merge with the digital universe. And therefore, when you look at IP and creativity, originality will make a difference. And of course, upholding original work will make a huge difference. To your question, Sheetal, from students and teachers' perspective, I think the first thing we should encourage is how to think original and how to be creative. Today, if we are looking at a science and technology university, all these students will get into a world where they will be working for the big tech or probably the media entertainment sector. Everybody today knows that Netflix as an organization has innovated the way in which we are watching stories. So the first thing I think that needs to be really encouraged at a school and college level is, how to think original and, work on concepts. The second most important thing that I feel is required is understanding what is fake, what is infringement, right from the plagiarism level, if you're doing research work, etc. And thirdly, because I really do believe the audience watching this are going to be future creators, if we can collectively work towards an IP fund. I'm very, very happy somebody highlighted that, there has been a parliamentary report that has been circulated and there is mention of an IP fund there. I can't imagine, creators not having access to that. Secondly, one has to understand the social effects of infringement and piracy and counterfeiting, which will basically affect society. So today, to give you an example, if a pirated film has leaked, it possibly is going to be disseminated by a website that's also selling all sorts of other things from psychotropic drugs, etc. Another important aspect of protecting rights of creators is to really look at encouraging copyright collection societies or institutes where we are able to reward creators for what they do. And I think from funding to rewards, I think it will become a perfect ecosystem where, creativity and IP can thrive. To your second part of the question, which is economic growth, I'd like to cite some numbers which were recently quoted in the parliamentary report as well. And I was quite surprised to read it myself, right? Where it says that a 1% improvement in protection of copyright industries increases foreign direct investment by 6.8%. In this unprecedented time, we need to create opportunities for creators and, thereby jobs. And it's a proven fact that when it comes to the media and entertainment industry, we do contribute to the economy. In fact, in 2019, the industry contributed 349,000 crores and employed 26.6 lakh jobs. So that's the potential that is there to be taken if we continue to support IP and also look at industries beyond just scientific sectors, really look at what's happening out there in the digital world, because that's where India is going to be in the near future.
Yeah, right. I was noting down your points. I think when it comes to COVID or any other pandemic, three sectors come to my mind that are always agnostic, I would say, to any such, let's say, recession or pandemic. One is the education sector. Second is healthcare, which is where we talk about pharma. And third is media and entertainment. Imagine if there are no movies. Imagine if there is no protection. Imagine everyone pirates and no one other comes to create. What will happen when there is so much of negativity around because of people dying because of COVID and other things? How would you like to correlate innovation during pandemic and the importance in that? And connect it with the question when there were talks about complete IP waiver.
So, before I answer your question, I want to highlight the fact that the media and entertainment sector is pretty much like an economic starter. Today, when you want to shoot or film in a particular place, whether it's television, whether it's on for VOD or for theatrical, you're essentially going to a particular location and supporting various allied industries. So if I shoot a particular film in a location, the transportation industry benefits, the catering industry benefits. So it's a long pipeline that is supported. And an international report, which is the Olsberg report, actually proves that there's a 67% benefit to allied sectors. As far as connectivity and interconnectivity is concerned today, if there is, look at it from the fact that today we're all socializing, our entertainment, everything that we do today is an interconnected world. Tomorrow I can see brands literally looking at ways in which they can connect to your life, and then technology delivers that product to you. Similarly, when it comes to a story, you may be into a particular story, but technology today kind of monitors what you do on a day-to-day basis, and it's able to predict what is the next story that you like. So there are a lot of opportunities, but from a student perspective, I think it's important to look at creative ways of teaching them what you do. So for example, if there is an IP fund, look at ways in which that can, benefit the big tech. It can benefit the media and entertainment industry, because we're in the lookout for inventions all the time. For example, remote filming, how it has changed the post-production setup. All of this is driven by technology. I can't see, how we could do all of this in this pandemic without technology and inventions.
Yeah, very well said. Thanks. That highlights the importance of technology therein. So this gives us a good platform to now move to Dinesh, and maybe Dinesh, you can share some perspective picking up from what Lohita mentioned about the economics of IP protection and commercialization, and how it adds to the GDP, especially when it is also referred to in the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Two things I would like you to highlight for the audience today. One is that how US economy has benefited from IP, be it in terms of salaries that people draw who are more IP literate, or its contribution to GDP as such. And second is the challenges and the opportunities that you see in India when it comes to IP policy making, because policy is what gives the whole direction as to where the country wants to grow. Over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you, Dr. Seetal, and thanks to IPTSE, PSCST, and my fellow speakers for organizing this important event. On behalf of USPTO, I'm happy to be here, and we are happy to be supporting this important cause. So to start with and coming to the topic, I see this topic as more a question of inclusive IPR regime, because we all agree, and I'm sure that my fellow speakers would do agree, that IP does play a key role in the economic growth, and we need not reiterate this. So I think the topic can be seen in the context of inclusive IPR regime, because if you come back to the importance of IP towards economic growth, there are various studies. As just Lohita mentioned, there are various studies which highlight the link between the importance of IP with the GDP's improvement, with the FDI, be it patent, copyright, or trademark. Like INTA studies is there, WIPO studies there. So we need not reiterate those aspects. So coming back to the topic, I think it would be far better if we look at it from the perspective of inclusive IPR regime. And what does it mean? I think inclusive IPR regime is something where we have, or we can create an environment of a level playing field for all the participants, be it a foreign player, be it a local player, be it a individual entity, particularly vulnerable. And there are certain aspects I would briefly touch upon, which may be highlighted in next couple of minutes. How can we achieve this inclusive IPR regime? So I think the most important aspect and the quintessential aspect of this whole debate is if we are able to create a robust and effective, strong IPR regime, which encourages protection and enforcement of IPR, which gives the ability to all who are the participants in the entire ecosystem, where they can, with certainty and predictability and transparency. I'm emphasizing these terms, that they can easily and convincingly, comprehensively protect and enforce and also commercialize their inventions, which are supported by IP. So that is something that I personally believe is the quintessential requirement of this whole debate. And how can we achieve this? There are certain ways to achieve this. For instance, one of the example is, and this is very important, we all do agree. In fact, Dr. Sahu also started off with emphasizing the importance of awareness and all commercialization. So awareness of IP is the most important aspect of it to start with. And this is where the programs like IPTSE, the present program, comes and has importance. And I must thank again IPTSE, Dr. Seethar, and all the participants, contributors to this program. So IP awareness is the most important thing. Dissemination of IP knowledge, particularly amongst SMEs, MSMEs, and other interest participants who do not have that leverage. So this is very important to start off. Second aspect that we can highlight is the capacity building of the agencies involved in the protection and enforcement of IPR. If we are able to stress upon the capacity building of these agencies, the officials involved, with an emphasis on interdepartmental collaboration, where one arm of the government is aware of the contribution of the other arm, and the, for instance, regulatory arm is cognizant of the what the patent arm is doing, the patent office is doing, what is the status of the patent. This is just an example. So that may definitely help the entire ecosystem. So this is the second aspect. The third aspect is having overarching and specific legislation systems for the protection of trade secrets, the undisclosed information, the data information, the confidential business information. And this comes very naturally as we are concerning startups, small entities, students who are going to be there, the next potential of the country. So what do they have? They, at the outset, they have, and this is the first and foremost IP that they have. It needs to be protected. They should have the certainty. It should be predictable, because today one can say that we do not have a lot of clarity over the protection, though mechanisms are there. But the question is how effective the existing and extended system is. So this is the another aspect. Simultaneously and additionally, another system that is very important is to have a specific system to curb IP crimes like counterfeiting and piracy, as just Lohita mentioned. This is very important when it comes to creative industry like copyright and all, and it indirectly or directly affects the GDP or FDI. So this is again very important. We do see a lot of cases, a number of cases being filed, particularly before the Delhi High Court, which may be considered as the most IP savvy court in the country. And the recent rise in the online IP infringement cases So this is the another aspect that is something that requires attention. The another aspect I would touch upon briefly is the compliance burden. If we are able to reduce the compliance burden that an innovator spends a lot of time in complying with, it is definitely going to help them. There are disclosure requirements, processing requirements, which unnecessarily affect the smooth continuation of the process and they divert the attention of the individual or entity involved. So this is another aspect. And I do emphasize and I do agree, I do understand that there are certain requirements unique to each country. For example, India is having. But again, the question is, I'm emphasizing all this because these are the aspects which can bring the country's framework to align with the global best practices, and which is very important to bring the and to bring out and to improve the entire ecosystem. The other aspect is boosting IP commercialization. And this debate, as we've heard all other my fellow speakers, it cannot be complete without touching upon the commercialization's importance. In fact, we have seen recently, we've got the report from Parliamentary Committee, which has emphasized upon the importance because there are issues which needs to be addressed when it comes to commercialization. IP funding should be there. There should be a body which helps develop these mechanisms. So commercialization again is very important aspect because as Dr. Seetal just mentioned, the patent cannot just be a patent tiger. This is a wonderful saying that we need to have mechanisms in place that eventually you're getting benefits out of your IP and it is not lying redundant or dormant. So now, after talking about these aspects which may be said to be gaps in the entire system, and it's a basically continuous process, there are opportunities as well. We've been seeing, observing, witnessing various initiatives, various programs, schemes being run by governments, be it India or be it US, that facilitate the entire framework for the SMEs, micro entities, like my other fellow speakers have already covered, so I need not touch upon those things. Like SIPP program is there, startup in India, flagship initiative is there in India. Similarly, in US, there are various initiatives. There are various agencies, federal agencies involved in helping the SMEs, the startups, from all the angles, be it assessing and protecting your IP, be it developing your business plan, or be it finding funding for commercialization, or be it engaging experts to help them. More specifically, one body called Small Business Administration is there. Another body, Minority Business Development Agency, is there. And there are several other programs like SBIR, STTR, which help innovation research and technology transfer.
Yeah.
to lead the startups, to help them protect, commercialize the invention.
Okay, if I just ask you that,
I'm
I
coming
mean,
to
you
that.
picked up,
Yeah.
you picked up quite a lot of points. It just reminds me of the time as well.
Yeah.
We are sharp at
yeah,
12:54, and we wanted to keep 15 minutes for open house discussion because I'm sure there are some questions around. I think Ria and from IPTSE Academy and PSCST, they ideated something very good for today's interaction. An audience who've been waiting for a surprise question, because basis that they'll also win the prize. And that is also one of the reasons they've been hearing all of us, and we'll certainly have some take-home messages. Ria, can I just invite you to give just a process? Is it all in the chat box, in the Google form? How is it that people need to contribute to it?
Yes, I am just attaching the Google form in the live chat box and I'll pin it. So I would request all of our audience to fill in the Google form, and the best answer would win voucher worth ₹1,000. The winner would be announced in the next webinar. I'm just attaching the Google form link. Also, we have a lot of questions for open house discussion. We'll take it once the Google form is posted. Yeah, sure.
Can you pick up questions for the panelists? And may I request other panelists to please switch on their video so that they, you can pick up the question basis as you deem fit. Pearl, if you are still around, I know Dr. Sahu has left already for another meeting.
I can take this question.
Yeah, sure. Ria, are you going to read the questions quickly?
Yes. Does the panel believe intellectual property enforcement in India needs to be improved in order to improve inclusive economic growth? Also, are there any success stories on IP enforcement abroad by government entities?
So absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt that we need better protection, not only for copyright industries, but all industries which are IP centric need better enforcement. Inclusive growth happens when you create a system of transparency and where funding becomes available for creators. And I think piracy is the biggest deterrent, because at the end of the day, when for my industry, for example, every time a film is distributed in an illegal manner, it's supporting a different industry which is not tax paying, right? So it's also a huge loss for the exchequer. I think the best example for preventing piracy is right here in India. It's called the Maharashtra Cyber Digital Crime Unit. It's a government and public, so a public-private partnership where industry works with the cyber police, where regular updates of infringing sites, etc., are given, and the team has done a fabulous job. In fact, recently, they've also arrested an illegal app operator in Telangana. Internationally, industry has come up with various coalitions. So there's the Police Intellectual Property Crime Unit in UK, which you all can look up on the website, and the Trusted Accountability Group in the US, where the industry and government come together and even stop legitimate advertising, which sometimes funds, pirate sites.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And it's not only limited to piracy, it also includes substandard and drugs and the counterfeits, and the servers that are hosted at various places. So yes, it's a big deterrent. And also, I think, Loita, your organization has always been very vocal about making it more deterrent in the statute books itself, so that judges don't have to really struggle. Of course, it's case-to-case basis, but if statute books already puts a very high threshold, people will at least feel a fear of not to enter into such domains.
Yeah, and for because we are the students are also watching this, I just want to make or clarify that when we talk about piracy, we are not talking about users innocently downloading or any innocent recording. We are talking of hardcore criminal syndicates that operate these sites install viruses in user computers and expose them to unwanted elements. So I'm very happy to quote that, Delhi High Court, for example, has given a landmark order where, they support now dynamic injunctions. So in one particular order, multiple websites can be blocked at the same time.
Right. Thank you so much, Ria. I just know it's 12:59. We have sharp only 1 minute. Pick up one more question. And then one request to IPTSE Academy is that if you can just jot down all the questions that you are seeing live, send it to all the panelists, get some, responses, and send it back to all those who have joined, and even those who have not been able to join, at least send them back. That these were the questions and the responses. So that way it will help. Any one question if you can pick up quickly.
Yes, what if someone starts enforcing the patent after publication and the patent got rejected?
You cannot enforce a patent unless it is granted. That's the key. It's like a thumb rule. You cannot go to the court of law unless you have a granted claim. Mere patent application is just a testimony to say that you are the inventor, but finally to be able to enforce, to stop misuse, misappropriation is only once you get a grant. So with this, thank you so much, everyone. This brings us to the end of panel discussion and also to the great webinar. And Dr. Bakshi, Dr. Kaur from PSCST, your entire team, IPTSE Academy, Saurabh and your team, Ria, Vansh, you all have worked very hard. Thank you so much for inviting us. Dr. Bakshi, any last minute inputs from your side?
I would really, this was a very, very informative session about this panel discussion. Lots of things they have come forward, and that is what actually we were looking for. So this is a platform where we want to take it ahead for this IP literacy drive. So many more programs which will be follow, and we would just request everybody to be in tune with us, and we'll be announcing these programs in a repeated order and whenever they are planned. So that's from our side. Thank you.
Saurabh, any last minute comments?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all the panelists, and thank you, PSCST team. Thank you.
And thank you, Sheetal. I think you got out the best from us.
You are the best. You all are the best. Thank you so much. So I finally see John. John, you've been hopping between two countries. So looks like some issue there, but thank you so much. And we'll see you all again.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks again.
Bye. Bye.
See you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.